Ah, all right. This was a horribly, horribly bad idea. Good evening, Gotham. Good evening, Metropolis, Emerald City, Xanadu, Babylon, to the ISS, and the rest of you. I am Scooter McGee. Congratulations. You have found the number one podcast nobody knows about, and even fewer people watch. So if you are finding this, stumbling across it, or forced to watch it while, I guess, in quarantine, uh, maybe make a comment, like, or share. Stand by. Launch of scootermcgee.com should take place in the next 72 hours, 96-hour launch window. So it's up and running by Sunday. So you guys can go back to work on Monday and, find me on a daily basis. Um, Forgive me. I'm not going to run off my notes. We are approaching 24, 30, we're at 79 day 80 of the war in Ukraine. It is a quick time check. It is 1 a.m. in Boston. It is 8 a.m. in Kiev. It is 3 p.m. in Tokyo. And sadly, right now in Orange County, California, as the West Coast, but Orange County right now on fire down at Laguna. So shouts out to the peeps and the friends out there. Um, I'm only going to hit a couple of headlines tonight with a couple of observations because for me, we are about to hit another sequence of events and I shared this when I started this project on February 24th, that I suffer anniversary syndrome. I don't even know, and I'm not the medical guy, just that was, oh, that's what you have, and you behave certain ways because of your triggers. No, it's just that I remember certain things, and I've joked often on social media. So scootermcgee.com, we did the time check. We should thank the sponsors. Greeley Westside Liquor, for you Greeley peeps and Evans peeps, you can get it delivered. And the Silver Mountain Jewelry and Pawn, of course, the old City National Pawn, who were longtime sponsors of the original Scooter McGee show. The inflation report came out, and just like the temperature at DIA, now set matching and tying a fifth record high. Yeah, it was 89, then we adjusted to 90. So we can continue to force feed that agenda of climate change. Fair enough. Well, the inflation report came out. I was wrong. I said in the first 30 days of the conflict in Ukraine that we would see double digit inflation by May. It is May 11th. 8.3% adjusted and nearing the record highs of 40 years ago. But understanding how many economic indicators have been taken out to adjust to show what inflation is. However, our government, the United States government, a constitutional republic governed by a constitution and the rules there within, claim it is 8.3%. 1 year ago today, I know exactly where I am. 2 years ago today, I know exactly where I got to be next week because we got to have a meeting with the lawyers. And we know how fond Scooter is of having meetings with lawyers. And it regarded the conspiracy people. Oh, we're going to have a Coke and a smoke, and then we're going to say goodnight. Because I've never told the story of the conspiracy keepers. Why was I in Denver the night Denver popped off and the George Floyd protests across the United States? Because it had to do with this last week, right now, 2 years ago. I know where I'm standing. I know who I'm standing with. The conspiracy keepers. From a parking lot outside in the spring with a digital tape recorder, threw it on the hood of the car, and the three of us had a discussion. Argumentatively, it's up here somewhere in the internet. It's a photograph of myself, Backlash, and Joe Lanier just standing outside. But there's audio there of where the world was suddenly going after 2 weeks to flatten the curve and the cancellation of St. Patrick's Day nonsense. And now it was May. and the powder keg that America was sitting on, only to find out in the next 10 days the media found the event that ginned it up. George Floyd. A meeting was to take place that had been, so we taped an episode, we had a series of conversations. We need to look into, okay, well, it means we need the lawyers. Yes, we do. All right. Well, and so we had a couple of meetings, and it was agreed that we would meet with a very particular type of lawyer. And I don't know if I should disclose or not, but if I get yelled at for this, it is what it is. I'm getting yelled at for everything. It had to do with intellectual property because of something we wanted to do. The subsequent meeting is agreed upon. The location is 8th and Broadway. The lawyers agree to tack me on at the end of the day, which meant we were going to have a meeting that was slated. You're just going to sneak in the office at 5:15. We'll have the meeting at 5:30. We'll be out of here at 6 o'clock because there's only a boom, boom, and boom we got to go through. Well, that turned out not to be the case. The meeting went approximately an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, because it was that point, Lord, you know, this has gotten deeper than and yes, because and we had this, we have this, we have this. What are the rules regarding? And it then led to a series of other questions regarding, and I don't want to give it away, but okay, it had to do with trademark, and it had to do with copyright, and it had to do with infringement, and there was all kinds of chatter in that law office. For full disclosure, it was, oh, I should not do that. So, meeting is over. We're we're at 8th and Broadway. Well, there's a building. Yes, there's a bunch of lawyers. Well, that's the building. So, in coming out of the building, what are we going to do? Well, we should run down. I don't know. I got to go back to Greeley. We are absolutely oblivious to what is going on at the Capitol, on Broadway, on Lincoln, at Colfax, with the mostly peaceful protesters. Completely oblivious until yours truly. There were 3 lawyers upstairs. One was staying to finish up some work. I'm with the other 2. And we come out of down into the lobby, come through the lobby, coming out of the elevator, go through the lobby, come to the door. Wow. Now, their reaction versus mine sets off another series. So if you are my Twitter peeps, the Scooter McGee, you can go back in the time machine, because when I point out the COVID quarantine lockdown in Denver, well, the hookers are back out on Colfax. Swear to God, I did. It was we had look. If you're not a hooker, I'm sorry, but you're wearing the uniform, and the protests and the flashbangs, because I was at Larimer Square. That's a lie. We were at Market 41, 1941 Market Street, Denver's hottest nightclub, when the Avalanche and the fans were number one, and they destroyed Larimer Square. That was tear gas. That was not what was being deployed at the Capitol day one. You know how I know? Because I was, yeah, yeah. And the tweets, and there was no less than 200 loud explosions in the first 5 minutes of nonsense, because it turned out that the Denver police had to admit that that was CS gas. That's not the tear gas we used to disperse the crowds for the avalanche at Larimer Square. Yeah, no, Sherlock. Of course not. One is none, two is one. A series of events over the next 24 hours take place, and I'm asked, We need you. Okay, fine. This is a bad idea. Yes, this is a horrible. The internet is full of bad ideas. The meeting that I left, we never finished. Almost 2 years to the date because of the sequence of events that took place for the next 9 months. That took place, that then led to the follow up aftermath nonsense for other clients for another 8 months. So that's 16 months, culminating with today, May 11th, but September 11th, 2021. Okie dokie, we're going to just call this a bad day with a good view, and we're going to hope to hear back from, your friends and your compatriots who've all now become judge, jury, and executioner in the court of public opinion. Fair enough. But 1 year ago today, May, I'm having an argument with a client. Look, this running back and forth every day is ridiculous. Are you not seeing what's? No, they are out of state. They're in another state. And I did not realize, for example, this is going on at the gas pump. This has nothing to do with Ukraine. This has nothing to do with Russia. When you brought up inflation last May, Memorial Day to 4th of July, the White House was claiming you were nuts. Then they said after 4th of July, because Biden said you could have your cookout, that the marriages went, you cook this. It was transitory. Don't worry about it. The conspiracy theorists kept screaming. You kept blocking us. You kept shadow banning us. You kept throttling us. There's something else going on here. I direct your attention to the first 21 days of this product that started February 24th. I reported the baby formula. Now what's no? Oh, stand by in 6 weeks. We'll have that up and running. Another crisis that Congress will hold hearings on later this month to manage. The only thing government can do is manage a crisis. It never ends. And sadly, in my former world, because I've tried to address it and get down 18 tangents. Why did I retire? You play whack-a-mole 18 hours a day, and that the whack-a-mole game. That's all I don't. Unless you were in the fall of Saigon, I can't have a discussion with you about being in the whoa. Not KFKA. Stand down, all the fans. Damon, Scooter's comparing you to Ho Chi Minh. No, the broadcast medium. We lived through the 70s, 80s, and now format. No, not the format when it was in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s to the mid 90s, and what you could do on air, what they wanted you to do on air, what they expected you to do on air. Yeah, well, that all changed. And I brought this up with the conspiracy keepers in that in the old days, now I don't know if this episode was allowed to be posted or edited or passive aggressive, the quality. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. I literally pointed out the first one we did from the hood of the car. We hadn't been on air in years, and we just did it with this on the hood of a car. Breathe. They're managing these crises. The war in Ukraine is going to go on for years. High gas prices, you can expect to continue to pay all year long. Maybe next year they'll go down. Abortion is the midterm 2022 key. No, it's not. You needed to gin it up. Who leaked it? It doesn't matter who. It's Sotomayor's clerks. It's a clerk from the staff of Sotomayor. I do believe I said when the leak came out, day one, my suspect, it's from the royal house of Sotomayor. Mamma mia sopapilla. Sorry, you're a racist. You hate Hispanic. No, Kagan's not smart enough. It wasn't Breyer's going to fall on his sword to be like Ellsberg stepping down after the Ketanji Jackson Brown nonsense. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Sorry. Sorry, my throat. Because what happened to your voice, Scooter? I bring up, and you're in the line of fire of a couple 500 rounds of CS gas. Maybe the cigarettes are what kept me alive. I had to cover a fire the other day. I didn't have to. I did it, for the six fans of this show. Um, I miss the days when the firefighters would put out the fire and come back to the rig, take some of their gear off and light up and have a cigarette. I miss those days. I miss the days when the men were men and the women were damn proud of it and the rest of them ran scared. I miss the days of being able to point out that you're a 400-pound naked emperor and you have a small penis. When it comes to Hillary Rodham Clinton, you're a 300-pound Jabba the Hutt with a small vagina. No. So, in the world of radio, much like I tried to explain in boarding school, if you went to Catholic boarding school or Catholic military boarding school, it didn't matter where in the United States you were. And if you were in those classes from 1980 to 1984 or 1980 to 86, middle school or just high school, we proudly wore a badge of honor that we all served in Nam. You were at Doc Way, and you may have been at Nha Trang, and you could have been at Yen Ben Phu, but we were all there and got out in the fall of Saigon. We got out. There was an argument back then, and this is frightening now, the late 80s, early 90s, because all of the scandals regarding Catholic churches and the priests that sexually abused kids. Our class was a class of only 98 kids. So for us, that was a small, everybody knew everybody. And there's still rumors in schools. I'm not going to say his name, but Mr. So and so wears clogs. I mean, what's going on there? Now, this is the 80s, because I'm guilty as charged. Somewhere out there is a photograph of me wearing, you know, leopard Zubas. So it is what it is. There was a camaraderie. The school and radio, this ties in. So follow me or try to. In school, when we got out of school, we were still all very tight because again, we served, we were all in the same war together, us against them, and we got out alive. We got out unscathed. We got out, yeah, we got out unscathed. We got out with our brain cells. We came out with all 10 fingers and 10 toes. We're okay. So we thought, because the argument back then was that they only hit us. They didn't hit on us because of all the Catholic Church scandals. That was always, that's not true, and that's not. No, no, no. Really, not at ours. Now we got this one was the one that. So now fast forward to 2020, because in the late 80s we're joking, sitting around, and we're all saucy. What's the first problem? Look at this picture. Every one of them is sitting at the bar, sauced, and it's 6:30. Uh huh. And we're going out tonight because if you stay numb, you can't feel it. Fast forward to 2020. For you Facebook on the face holes for Memory Day, I'll post it. It's the video when I'm standing at the High Bridge. I'm just waiting for Boreas so I can get a hug. Well, if I'm standing at the High Bridge without I'll just say the 200 block of George Street. Well, you can spit from here to there. And I'm going to wait. Boreas knows I'm going to wait for him at the bluff. And, well, again, we have phones. We have smartphones. Well, I'm going to run over. Why? Because my best friend from high school, from middle school, is only 6 blocks away. There's no way you can know that. Yes, I do. His parents were going to will him the house as a kid. He was an only child. He knew that when he was in fourth grade. Why would he leave? You grow up in the town I grew up in, you were expected to stay. You were expected to, and I joke, being an upstanding member of the business community, you stay, you raise a family, you stay, start a business, you get married, you have kids, you do the drill. I drive to the house. It's COVID. It's George Floyd. Now, the monkey business is going on in Minneapolis. This is St. Paul. This is West St. Paul, the 200 block of George Street. I pull up and just my reflexes as a kid pull up in the driveway, pull up where I put the cars. This isn't my car. This isn't my locker. This isn't my house. What if they don't live there? They come out, guns ablaze. There's somebody wearing surgical scrubs driving an SUV plated from New Jersey. It's a hit. No, it's not. Get him. I back the car onto the driveway, park it out on the street. Again, it's the old days. You can just double park for 5 minutes because he's either here or not. Get up to the front door, and there's the sign from the city for the post office, the electrical, the gas, all this. This residence is for who? They reside over there on Chippewa. Oh, well, that's only 10 blocks from here. Meanwhile, unlisted. Ooh, you've got to notice. Get on the computer. I got his phone number. Bang. I'm in the car. Jump back over the other side of the high bridge. I'm now coming through Cherokee Park. I'm coming up Chippewa Avenue. Past my godbrother's house. He lives 3 blocks up from the godbrothers. Tim and Kevin. My ride's coming. We're running out of time. I called directory assistance. I said, I need sorry, I had the number. Call the number. Because I did. I originally called directory assistance just to see if they were still at that address. No. No, because the city's got them over here. The number. He answered the phone. Well, yes, because they're landlines. The phone rang in the house. It's during the day. And I recognized his voice. I did. He says hello. And I said, in that second and a half, I heard his voice. I immediately became 12 years old again. And I said, is this, and I'll tell this now, is this Bounham Zazanavon vet? And he giggled and went, yeah. And before I could say, this is Kid Marangaranga, he says, is this Scooter McGee? And that's the other of not realizing my friends were not calling me my name anymore. They were calling me the character name. Yeah, you just, I wanted, well, because Kid Marangaranga and Solomon Nagoni from the days of Soldier and Fortune magazine and Idi Amin, these are the guys that we all studied with in that world. So when it came to 91 in the Gulf War, we're all in this room trying to build this new military war version of Trivial Pursuit. So before I could say it's Kid Marangaranga, yes, I said, I'm literally 4 blocks up from the house. I was waiting for Boreas at the High Bridge, so I wasn't going to not come and see you. And he goes, oh, yeah. So I literally pull up in the driveway and he comes out, and I'm not going to get into the masked or unmasked nonsense. We are friends. And we reunite. And I then had to spend 20 minutes with my friend telling me about our class, the class of our graduating year, with such enthusiasm that certain people were aware of me as Scooter McGee, but I didn't know where any of them were and how they were. Like Tom O'Hagan. Tom O'Hagan and I are friends on Facebook. Well, sure, the Sheelys and O'Hagans were friends for you. Well, Tom still lives over in Mendota Heights, Invergrove Heights. Yep, because yes. Well, we went to school together and we lived across Sunfish Lake together. Kind of tough not to be friends. We weren't the greatest friends. We weren't the worst of friends. We had other interests and other friends, but in our day back then, within family and proximity, well, you could always jump in the canoe and go across. If nothing else, you stayed friendly with them just in case you needed to go to the mattresses and you needed a safe house. My best friend from middle school, again, because Rumi's best friend, we have middle school, high school, carnival. But my friends from middle school and my friends from high school, we were all friends through thick and thin, through carnival, through World War III, and everything in between. So my friend is telling me the shock of you're standing in the driveway. This is like that Uncle Eddie moment. I can't believe you're here. I can't believe I'm here, dude. I wasn't. This is not what. Yeah, because I'd heard. Yeah, yes, and I've been nuclear quiet like a submarine underneath the Arctic ice cap, never expecting orders again. How's so and so? I call you. Oh, I mean, right. You don't know. No, I don't get the newsletter. Half the schools don't even admit that. Yeah, I did hear about that. Okay, so he gives me the presidential daily briefing. You're literally. Thank God I had the SUV. Dropped the tailgate, sat down, and listened. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What happened to? Oh my God. Please tell me that. Oh my God. The oh my gods were the discoveries of how many of the kids that I grew up with, my age, my demographic, similar family upbringing, religion, schools, doctors. In Ramsey County, St. Paul, I say Dr. Galligan, or yes, Dr. Galligan, Dr. O'Brien. They delivered 90% of the kids back. I'm not joking. A lady who, and I use the term with incredible endearment, a lady who I attempted to court unsuccessfully, but we're still friends. We never knew this as kids. That is not possible. That's how did we not meet in the doctor? We probably did. Our parents would have had us. We were kids. That's true. Because I only noticed you once you got tits. Not true. So it was. It was that black T-shirt, the BB. Couldn't close the deal. It was embarrassing. You should ask her for the story because she tells it much better. We had the same doctor. Um, we all did. We not thinking that that was abnormal. You have to understand. How would you not? It didn't. Well, who's your doctor? You didn't ask those questions. But then as you got older, well, okay, now we're getting married. Well, as Doctor So, yeah. Well, that they gave birth to me. Why wouldn't we, share the business? So the discovery of our class, how many died at the hands of suicide, overdose? I mean, deliberate suicide. or drug overdose, accidental overdose. How many wound up in prison, Lino Lakes, or Stillwater, or at the federal level? Because Bounum Zanavong Fett, because I'm not going to say who he is, well, out of the class of, then now you got the list narrowed down. But, in the world of the Justice Department, you probably don't want to leak his name. And that we were joking, and I was starting to tear up, and that I thought we all agreed I was the train wreck. And again, now DJs. There were DJs who wagered money that I wouldn't live to be 35, let alone 40, let alone 45, let alone 50. What are you doing at George Floyd? Are you covering it? No, I thought I'd participate in it. What do you think I'm doing here? Well, you're not on the air. Yeah, because I have a client. And what part of I can't tell you who I work for is none of your business. And they all got mad. You need to tell them, no, I don't. Because then it escalated to, I'm hearing that you're, saying negative things about me on the internet. I've never said who you are. How can I, when it comes to any of them, I've never divulged word a location on a corner. There isn't a neon, there isn't a reflection in the glass. Well, there's the Al Sharpton pictures, but those aren't my fault. Yeah, you can't do that. I didn't. And whoever's saying this needs to stop. Well, and then tension back to the class. How many of us, what the hell happened? What was going on in that environment that we had a cluster so high that it manifested itself that way? When we as kids were joking, well, they just, Sister Mary Knuckles. Another joke on the conspiracy keepers due to editing and producer content. Who is in charge of that Bugatti? You guys don't know this. He is not in my family chain, but I really think I want it now. Go Alberto Anastasia. I think the world needs another Anastasia. Of course, I still miss my Uncle Momo, and the world needs a whole lot more Uncle Momos. Baby formula. Uh huh. You know, growing up in the 70s and early 80s, watching the 6 o'clock news, and here come the Ford F-150 commercials, and here come the Monsanto commercials. Nitrogen fertilizer for your farm last year was $275 a ton. Now it's $1,400 a ton. That's the war in Ukraine. It's Putin's price hike. You are delusional. May 11th of last year, where the numbers were going, no way. Meanwhile, hey, remember 10 days ago when President Biden and then Chuck Schumer, we need ASAP. We need to deliver another spending bill package ASAP. 2 weeks later, it wasn't $31 billion. It wasn't $33 billion. No, it was $40 billion, which means we've pissed away $60 billion in less than 80 days. So in 30 more days, when they piss away $40 billion and need more money so the Ukrainians can fight for democracy, when do you say enough is enough? You are under arrest. Game's over. It's the economy, stupid. And I brought up the propaganda in the first 21 days. I brought up my understanding of politics and geopolitics from the world of then former CIA Director William Casey, but I'm under the school of Lee Atwater versus the school of James Carville, where you have to give credit where credit is due. As destructive as the rapid response war room is, that's what the White House is running on, clearly still in 2022. A mechanism that was designed in 1992. Frank Lutz is a putz. You're being played. You're going to be played long after the midterms. America doesn't have that much time left because America didn't have that much time left last May. But everyone was still being silenced about laptops and COVID and masks and jabs and blood clots. But now, rare breakthrough cases of those with the shot who've been boosted, who've died. Do we have more dead Russian generals than we have World Cup soccer players? Because US intelligence is claiming 8 to 10. Ukrainian intelligence is claiming a little higher. Initially, the Soviet flagship, I'll say Moscow, that's not Moskva, was destroyed in the Black Sea. It took mainstream media 10 days to admit that happened. Yet immediately now, the media is reporting Vladimir Putin's parade boat that's not a parade boat. It's what Putin uses when he inspects the Navy. It's a parade boat. I know. It's a war on women regarding their fundamental right, and this is all systemic, and it's because of men. Yeah, the leak came from the house of Sotomayor. It did not come from her. It came from one of her clerks. I know it wasn't Breyer's. I'd really, again, it'd be easy to think that he did it, falling on his sword because he's already been replaced. He's just keeping the seat warm. And Kagan's not that smart. Neither is Sotomayor, but her staff is the most inexperienced, the most overzealous, and they're all advocates. We're advocates. Some of the most destructive politics is going on. It's the economy, stupid, and they keep you diverted. Wildfires in California, we're going to need more regulation. Wildfires in Colorado, the Marshall Superior fire of New Year's Eve, they're still regulating and trying. You're going to need to not be able to build 5 feet away from. You're going to have to. We're going to need this whole area clear. So maybe Agenda 2020 and Agenda 2031, or excuse me, Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, maybe they are part of the Great Reset. Maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe they want you to have nothing and like it. I don't know. I don't really sign up for that idea. It would be one thing if they told us that was their plan. Yes, they have. They've laid it out there like a good little bread trail for Hansel and Gretel to follow. But if we identify you as Hansel or Gretel, we're going to call you homophobic, xenophobic, any phobic. You're fake, you're fake, you're fake. The ones who are phobic are the ones screaming what you are. And you should all be now going, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are. And again, no, that's a call to violence. As the White House says, it's okay for mostly peaceful protests to take place in front of Supreme Court justices' homes. Threatening to intimidate a federal judge is a federal crime, punishable of 10 years in prison. As they debate a special session in Colorado is about fentanyl, because if you're with a gram of fentanyl, but you didn't know you were buying fentanyl, you're being wrongfully out. Well, check the little box there. Record homeless, record murder, record crime, record theft, record assault. And the cops have their arms tied by legislators, prosecutors, and judges who are all in on it. Let's hold them accountable. Back the blue and go after these corkscrew and ice holes in Congress, your legislature, who do nothing but kick the can down the road to manage the crisis so they can manage you. They've solved nothing. Checkmate. Okay. Cheers, salute, Godspeed. No headlines. Diesel, $5.55 a gallon, record price. Gasoline, $4.40 national gas average, and it's only Wednesday. You know, we really need to pass this climate change and green energy, and we need to stimulate the economy. The FDA needs to investigate what's going on with the baby formula. Congress is going to look into that next week. As we approach 90 days, the threat of President Biden was going to go visit the Crown Prince bin Salam, Saudi Arabia. Hasn't happened. Was going to meet with Venezuela regarding emergency oil. Never happened. And well, we were going to even talk to Iran. I'm sure we're doing that, but through back channels. And meanwhile, we're going to the Asian Pacific Theater. Joe Biden's going to take his. He's going to take his. He's got his binder. Take his binder with him. And they're going to have a meeting over there. I wish when I did use chemicals that I could have achieved the level of being high at the level that the confidence is high in the White House. They're managing the crisis. They're creating it. They're not incompetent. They're in cahoots. They're doing this deliberate. It is by design, but you're that dense, you're that dumb, and you've been duped. Okay, I wish I had better news. Whew, look at the time. I gotta go. Be well, be safe, be leery of the headlines.